both together were searching for the truth, and I really couldn't do it on my own, right? Because when we learn on our own, even though a lot of people can learn on their own, it's certainly good to try to learn on your own, but the Gemara compares a person learning on his own as kerav al badi. The Gemara says it's like a very dangerous situation if someone only learns on his own, unless you're like a gadol ador, like the Chazon Ish used to learn on his own, or whatever. But basically, the Gemara says it's if two people learn together, even if both of them are already good at learning, it's like two knives sharpening each other up, right? That each one challenges what the other one said, and then each one has to provide an argument why he thinks he's right. And by doing that, you increase your knowledge, you increase your awareness, you increase your ability to perceive things properly. And the Gemara says that the same thing when Reish Lakish was nifter, Rabbi Yochanan almost went crazy, almost went insane, that he didn't have his chavrusa anymore to learn with. It's a very sad Gemara, because actually Rabbi Yochanan had a bit of a hand in the death of Reish Lakish. But in any event, that's a whole story, their relationship. But it's clear, and for example, when Rabbi Yochanan, when Shimon Bar Yochai came out of the cave, he was much sharper because he had been learning for 13 years with his son inside the cave. And when there was somebody who just agreed with everything he said you're not any help to me, that you're just agreeing with everything I say. I want someone who will argue with everything I say. So the argument is welcome. The argument is good because it's achieving a very good thing. So therefore, I actually love the person who's arguing with me. And after I finish learning, even though at the time of the learning we were oivim, but it's nasim ohavim, because we're both trying to achieve a higher goal, which we did in some part achieve. Either we achieved better knowledge, we achieved better skills, better thinking, and all of that. And therefore, this person is like, just like the one knife has to appreciate the other knife that has sharpened it. A knife can't sharpen itself. You have to rub one knife against the other to sharpen it up. So one knife, as it were, if a knife could speak, it would thank the other knife for helping to sharpen it up. So that's why learning is the best workshop for practicing these skills of not just being a yes man, but also learning to love each other even amidst the argument, right? That at the time we agreed to argue, right? Or like some people say, we agreed to disagree, right? Let's agree to disagree. Sometimes that's true also. You have to just say, we don't agree. You have presented your view, which I don't quite understand, and I presented my view, which you don't quite understand. And each one respects the other. Just like Beisha and Beis Hillel, that they still respected each other, even though at the end of the day they present each one their own opinion, which is often not like the other. So this is maybe our paradigm for trying to achieve a balance and achieving the Avas Chinam, which we need to try to achieve to bring the third Beis Hamikdash and to eradicate the Sinas Chinam. It doesn't mean that I'm a yes man. It doesn't mean I agree with everything that's being said, but I can love that person because he challenged my view. He gave me an opportunity to grow, at least intellectually, to think about why I don't agree with him or why I feel differently. And therefore he helped me to grow. And there are many other reasons to love every Jew, right? We don't realize what every Jew contributes to the Jewish nation. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh b'zeh. Every Jew is like a guarantor on the loan of another Jew. That means we're all connected, we're all interconnected. And Arev is from the word mixed. We're all mixed and interconnected. So that if I do Averas, it affects the other people improperly. If I do mitzvahs, it affects them in a good way. And we're all affecting each other. We're all gaining in a way from each other. Each person has something they're good at. Each person has something that they contribute to the Jewish nation. And it not only makes the Jewish nation stronger, but it also brings down more shefa from Shemayim. Right? Maybe I'm good in one mitzvah, but I'm not so great in another mitzvah. But another person somewhere in Klal Yisrael is. And I don't always know who that is. So I have to respect every Jew. Because there can be some one thing that they're doing that no other Jew is doing in that same way. That's bringing down a certain shefa from Hashem. And ultimately that will bring the Gula as well. So each person I have to respect, each person I have to love, because there's something unique about each person that something I don't have, but they complete me in a certain way, just like a husband and wife complete each other, make each other whole in a certain respect. Klal Yisrael are like little computer chips or little pieces of DNA that together we make one body, we make one goof. Ki ish echad b'lev echad. That's the mashal Chazal give. How can I be an ish with every other Jew? It must be that we're all little parts of the same body, that somehow we complete each other. And we as a nation have a relationship with Hashem as well as each individual has a relationship with Hashem. So I think personally, it's a reason why this Parshas Pinchas came right in the middle of the 3 weeks. I don't know if every year it comes out at the same exact time, but probably around the same time. Because in this parsha we also see a very strange situation where Klal Yisrael was basically coming apart at the seams. This Nasi of Shevet Shimon went and publicly did an Aveira. Half the Jews were starting to do Baal Peor or do Znus, and Hashem sent a Magefa. Hashem sent a plague. 24,000 people died. In this week's parsha, Rashi says he feels they were all from Shevet Shimon, but he brings a Midrash Tanchuma that says it could have been a lot of them were from other Shvatim. And when Pinchas went and did his act of violence and killed the Nasi of Mamash Nasi of Klal Yisrael publicly, together with the girl that he was having relations with, according to one opinion, he speared them with a spear, and then he came out and he held them up for everyone to see. And it's a whole question because he would, right? How did he do it exactly? And there was a big rift amongst all the Shvatim, whether he should be praised for such a thing or to be killed for having killed, and whether he was like an upstart because he had roots that went all the way back to Yisra, who actually did Avodah Zorah once in his life. So many people said this act of killing is not a Jewish thing. What he just did shows that all of his acts are related back to people that did Avodah Zorah. So Hashem said at the beginning of the parsha, no. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron a Kohen. His yichus goes back to Aaron, who was Ohev Shalom and Rodef Shalom. And this is what we said before, that Hillel said, Havei me Talmidav Shel Aaron, right? It says in Pirkei Avos, which a lot of people learn during the summer to offset these problems of the summer, that Hillel Oimer Havei me Talmidav Shel Aaron. You should be Talmidim of Aaron. What does it mean to be a Talmid of Aaron? Aaron's not around. The answer is I'm going to learn up what he used to do and I'm going to try to emulate him. So what did he used to do? Ohev Shalom, V'rodev Shalom. He should love Shalom and then run after it. Right? It's actually saying more than what we said before. Not just to love people, but to run after Shalom. That means you hear of a machlokes, you try to help people make Shalom. That's one of the things Aaron used to do. He went to one of the two sides of a machlokes and he said, Shlomo wants to make up with you. And then he went to the other side and he said, Moshe wants to make up with you. And each side he would say things that made them want to love each other again and make up. And he tricked them. He ran after that shalom. He did a lot of physical exertion of his own time and energy to make shalom. And that's what Hillel's saying. You should be from the Talmidim of Aaron. Learn from that. Learn from Aaron that he loved shalom and he was Rodef Shalom. And he did two other things. Oyeves Abrios, he loved all people, umakarven l'Torah, and he brought them close to the Torah. That's what we said before. That everybody in Klal Yisrael cried when Aaron was nifter because everyone loved him. Why? Because they felt his love. How do you feel someone's love when they try to help you? He tried to help every single Jew. He was either Rodef Shalom, when Jews had machlokes, or he was makarven l'Torah. So he did not just sit with feelings in his heart. He ran after to make shalom. Ran and went and was makar people to Torah. So it's one thing to love people. That's very, very good, and that's a high madrega. But Hillel said that's not enough. Try to be from Talmidim of Aaron that he was Oyev Shalom and Rodef Shalom. He was Oyev Abrios and makar Torah. That's a very big lesson, and that's what the Torah is teaching us here. That Pinchas, in his act of violence, in his act of murder, really, and a public act of murder, and not just one person, he killed two people at the same time and lifted them up on a spear for everyone to see, seemingly a very crude and violent and non-Jewish way of acting. Hashem says, no, He's supposed to be miyuchas all the way back to Aaron. He did an act of Aaron right now. He did an act of Oyev Shalom and Rodei Shalom. He did an act of Oyev Esabrios Makarvim L'Torah. Because what he did here, Hashem says, was Heishiv Chamasi. Right? Before he did that act, I actually was going to destroy the Jewish nation. The plague, which took 24,000 lives, could have spread and even killed more Jews. So, partially what Hashem is saying is realize that this act of violence actually saved the Jewish nation and brought shalom. That's why the reward of it is Hinani no sein lo es brisi shalom. I'm giving him the bris of shalom. Why? Because he achieved shalom. He ran after shalom. That's what he did with this act. He went ahead and achieved shalom. And he got the bris kahuna. Haisalo lazaro acharav bris kunasolo.